Time for our EMS Detergent Services weekly preview as we get ready for the quarterfinal round of the Iowa High School State Playoffs. Bears go on the road to Van Meter after coming off of a little bit longer road trip, Jason, up to Osage. And I think there's a lot of people who were pretty surprised how that game turned out. That Bears offense came to play, the Bears defense came to play, the Bears special teams came to play, the Bears came to play.
I think that's a pretty good sentiment, a pretty good statement that all three facets. I mean, of all the things I was impressed with, I think we didn't mention as much on the podcast, but go back and watch the film on the kickoff team coverage. Placement of the ball, of course, off Bo's foot was spectacular to start it off, but not one kid, not two kids, 3, 4 kids were having my favorite thing, that party at the football on every kickoff return. And except for, the one time they attempted to trick West Branch at the beginning of the second half, it was every time on a kickoff. West Branch was there. It was pretty fantastic to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, we pinned them basically inside the 20-yard line most of the night, so made that offense for Osage feel like they had to go a little bit further, maybe press a little bit. But like we said, that defense was really on task Friday night. Really limited that passing. I mean, they still got 200 and some passing yards, right. But for a team that gets well over 300, they were ready to play.
To hold them to just under 280 yards total was pretty. It's just not something that they've seen all year. But we talked a lot about that in the podcast, but one thing we need to really touch on is Coach Hirschman and that West Branch offensive line starts everything up, as you well know, as an offensive lineman. I love pointing that out, that you were once one. But that's where it all starts. But to have back-to-back games of 563 yards and 489 yards in back-to-back games, that's probably not been done very often in West Branch football. And then I said this, and then I'll throw it back to you. First time in the history of the program that they had a 250-yard passer or more and over 200-yard rusher in the same game. It happened in a playoff game, and it happened last Friday night. That's pretty rare and pretty spectacular.
Pretty spectacular, and some good things for this squad to hopefully build on. But you know that as you get to this point, each week it gets a little bit tougher and a little bit tougher. And nothing against Osage because they were a great football team, but Van Meter waiting down the road for us, defending state champions, 23 straight wins. What did we say? Like 45-3 in the last 4 years. Yeah. So this is a ball game. They know how to win football games over there.
It's like plug and play for them. But you think of the graduation rate that they had last year, some of their better quarterback, running back, leading receiver, their 3 best offensive linemen, arguably. The one that they would have had back this year as a junior transfers to Dowling. They lose him. So you look at those things, you're like, oh, maybe this is the year Van Meter kind of falls a little bit. No. It's just plug and play. They've got a program built there, Stephen, and you find kids that buy in. West Branch has always had that. That's why West Branch is good through the years. But when you can plug and play kids and they buy into what the coach is saying, you're going to have success. And 45-3 over 4 years, man, that's impressive.
Yeah. Well, and it all starts, again, up front. You look, they're coming in averaging, 313 yards on the ground per game. 313 yards per game on the ground, plus another 100 yards through the air. So, I mean, they're well over 400 yards per contest. Defensively, they're giving up half of that on both sides of the ball. So they like to ground and pound. They like to get ball control. And it's a two-headed monster. The quarterback is a great runner. The running back's really tough. So, Bears can't just key on one guy. But then they like to slow things down once the other team gets the ball.
You've got a running back that's rushed for just over 1,600 yards. You've got a quarterback that's run for over 900 and thrown for a pretty much identical yardage. Has 18 touchdown passes to 1 interception. May not throw it as much, but when they do, they're very accurate. And we talked about this, and I love in the podcast, but if you can go look on Quick Stats and you can see it, over 25% of his pass completions have gone for touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, that means they're efficient, and when they make plays, they're big plays, but they're going to run the football. 313 yards. Bears got tested last week through the air. This week they're going to get tested on the ground to see where they're at.
Yeah. I mean, running back Abramson, 164 yards per game. The quarterback has 920-some yards rushing on the season.
Almost 90 yards
almost 100 yards a game. So, yeah, those two are really the ones that you're going to have to control, figure out how to stop and slow down. And kind of like this past week, every time we have the ball, we need to find a way to score. We need to find a way to get that defense off the field as quick as possible.
Yeah, West Branch can't expect to score 1, 2, 3 touchdowns and win this football game. Not saying that defense isn't going to continue to play well, but this by far is on paper. The paper on film, it's the best team West Branch maybe has played all year. No offense to any of the others, but we'll say arguably the best teams they've played all year. And it's going to be fun, and we really hope that people drive 142 miles. It's a really easy drive down I-80 to come check it out.
If you cannot, we will have the coverage for you with the Bearcast. Our pregame starts at 6:30. Kickoff will be at 7 o'clock from Van Meter High School. Thanks to EMS Detergent Services for our weekly previews as we get ready for the quarterfinal round of the playoffs. We'll have it for you right here at westbranchfootball.com.